If the spring allergies have your life in absolute misery, we're going to cheer you up a little bit this morning because Dr. Mark Cromie is on the show. He, of course, is with the Chattanooga Allergy Clinic. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So I have a cherry tree at my house, and I love this time of year because the cherry tree is so beautiful. But all those little cherry blossoms are in my garage right now because they blow in. I don't struggle with spring allergies, but if you do, it's a bad time.
It's a bad time. And right now I can tell you that you're probably just in denial. Everybody has allergies. That's why you need to come see me. So what you're referring to is a non-allergenic creature, actually. The cherry tree, just like the Bradford pear, is something that is a symbol of spring, but it doesn't necessarily have any pollen that we're allergic to because it's insect pollinated. So we're allergic to the hickory, pecan, maple, the oak trees, the pine trees that are like microscopic in the air. They're airborne because they don't have insects to pollinate them. Just like flowers, we're not allergic to flowers because the pollen is so sticky. The bees have to go from flower to flower, so it's not airborne. So things that have color, flowers, flowering trees are typically not allergenic, but they're just a sign.
So for people who are home right now saying, no, Dr. Cromie, I'm terribly allergic to Bradford pears, is it just a coincidence because when they're blooming something else?
It's just coincidence. The Bradford pears are a sign that the trees that you're really allergic to are out. And so you don't know that. You just see the Bradford pears. They're beautiful, they're bright, they're shiny, they're a symbol of spring. But what you're allergic to is the stuff that's covering your cars in the morning. The microscopic pollens that are coming from the trees that don't have flowers.
Okay, I know that as we talk, of course, we're going to talk about ways to kind of prevent these allergies from wreaking havoc, which you will say are allergy shots.
Correct.
Does everyone, though, who comes to you, that they start with allergy shots, or does sometimes they start with just prescription medication?
Yeah, I mean, typically people will come to me because they've failed over the counter on prescription medications. They're tired of taking a daily Band-Aid like Zyrtec or Allegra, and they want to do something that's more of a cure. And so, of course, we talk about the 3 A's of allergies. We allergy test you to find out what to avoid, which is the first A. If you're allergic to dust mites, you get wrap-up covers, mattress and pillow encasements on your pillows. You get rid of the feathers if you're allergic to feathers. If you're allergic to pets, we don't get rid of family members. Don't worry about that. But we can use HEPA air filters inside that will reduce the air dander.
Can I pause you on that one? Because I have witnessed this firsthand. They will tell you that your pets might be a problem, but y'all are not a team that's going to say you have to get rid of your cat.
No,
you
because
don't do that.
I mean, here's the deal. You get rid of that indoor allergen, oh great, but you're still allergic to everything outside. So that's why immunotherapy, which is the third A, allergy shots, covers everything. So when you get allergy tested with little scratches on your back, I can tell you exactly what you're allergic to, and based upon that, I can make a precision targeted vaccine to change your immune system. And by giving you a teeny bit of what you're allergic to every week, instead of being exposed in the environment, your immune system will start to down-regulate its overreactivity. It becomes used to the pollen or used to the cat, and it doesn't create these chemicals like histamines and leukotrienes that we're covering up every day with Zyrtec and Allegra.
You know, you've got 8 locations, right, around the viewing area, so that really comes into your benefit, not just for your appointments, but if you end up going the allergy shot route, you're there pretty frequently, so you can pick the location that's most convenient for you, and then you
Exactly. You can come see me in Lee Highway, but if you live in Ooltewah, you can get your shots in Ooltewah, or if you work downtown, you can get your shots in our downtown office. So the whole goal is to make it convenient for you. You don't have to make an appointment, and in several of our offices, we're open Monday through Saturday, and we have late nights till 7:30, so we want to make it where you can get your shots in between work, after work, before work, or even on a weekend, because the goal is to change the course of your disease. It does take time, but allergy shots are the only thing that is disease modifying. It prevents asthma by 50% if you start it earlier on in childhood, like 6 to 12 years of age, before they develop asthma. Then they don't develop asthma, at least half of them. And asthma kills 5,000 people a year. So it's a disease, it's something we don't want. But right now, between the smoke outside, between the pollen outside, it's a bad time for patients that are having asthma and allergies.
Okay, on the asthma part of it, if you are, because sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between a cold and an allergy. I know you get that all the time. But if it's an allergy and you've got the sniffly, sneezing stuff and it goes untreated or effectively untreated, does that eventually turn to an infection that can trigger asthmatic problems?
So one of the biggest referrals to us is our ear, nose, and throat colleagues. And they're seeing kids that have chronic ear infections, chronic sinusitis. So they're getting tubes put in their ears, they're getting tonsils and adenoids removed, they're having functional endoscopic sinus surgery. Allergies are the root of all evil when it comes to that, because this is just the plumbing issue. If your nasal turbinates, the tissue in your nose are swollen from allergy, from overexposure to things you're allergic to, then it causes a backup of fluid. Then the next thing you know, like you said, you get a cold, a virus, and instead of it running its course in 4 to 7 days, it fills up with fluid. It creates a sinus infection, a bacterial infection that needs antibiotics. So we're going to see a lot of patients that have chronic illnesses, chronic disease, chronic antibiotic use that come to us, and allergies are part of the reason why they're sick.
Okay, something else I learned before we went on the air, I was asking you about food allergies. You said really only 4 to 5% of people have a food allergy, but about 20% have a food sensitivity.
Yes. All right. So people will come to me all the time. They'll say, Dr. Cromie, I'm allergic to milk. I was like, well, what happens? Do you have hives, swelling, problems breathing, or wheezing? They're like, no. But I get an upset stomach when I have a milkshake or ice cream, or I get a gas. And it's like, well, that's lactose intolerance. So there's an intolerance to a food and there's an allergy to a food. So 25% of Americans think they're allergic to a food, and the truth is probably 4 to 5% of them really are. And the allergies are going to be reproducible. Every time you eat that food, you're going to have skin manifestations, hives, itching of the throat, swelling of the tongue. You might have anaphylaxis where you could have problems breathing, wheezing, and possibly pass out, have to use an EpiPen, go to the emergency room. So the symptoms of allergies are severe. The symptoms of intolerance are more common and usually GI related. But I'll see a lot of patients come to me for chronic diarrhea, chronic upset stomach, and it really is a food intolerance, but not an allergen.
Okay, here is where you can go and find out exactly what's happening with your specific allergic situation. It's the Chattanooga Allergy Clinic. The name says it all. 899-0431. If you go online, ChattanoogaAllergyClinic.com, you can see which of their 8 locations is most convenient for you.
That's right. From the womb to the tomb, all ages, baby.